top of that, you bring him in. You already have a coach that's managed at the absolute pinnacle of club and international football. You have Busquets and Alba, who've played at the club international level, at the most elite level, and won everything possible. Alba scored yesterday. Busquets has hooked him up with assists. Like, those guys are playing at a good level in terms of what they're capable of at their time and their age. But everybody around them has been elevated, and I feel like their competition is playing in all. Like, we've gone in two different directions. Did I expect him to have a bump and play well? Yes, and then be good. When you look at whether it was Jermaine Jones that came into this league and after the 2014 World Cup and helped lead them to an MLS Cup, you saw Michael Bradley, you saw Clint Dempsey. These are good American players coming back. This is the greatest player of all time. So we had to assume, another league is different now than it was then, that he would do something. This was unexpected, and also the lack of opposition has been remarkable and notable, just kind of like sitting in awe of the guy.
Dalen, a couple of things to forward that conversation that you've just mentioned. One, if you've watched the first episode of Hard Knocks, you see what the Jets players are now they're in awe of Aaron Rodgers being here, and it kind of gives them a belief that we're good, but we could be great because we have got greatness in our midst. And to do with the other players kind of being in awe, being on the same field. Look at the little mascot that was in front of Lionel Messi yesterday. He looked around and he's like, he said, Mom, Dad, you better be getting this on camera because I want this in my bedroom. The one thing I want to talk to you about, Dalen, is Gary Smith, the Nashville coach. Okay, he's got, 48 hours, 60 hours before they face Messi and Inter Miami in the weekend in the Leagues Cup final. How do you stop him, Dalen?
I think there has to be a level of physicality. You can't just gonna mark him out of the game or something like that. And I do think the other players, to LME's point, have been very good and better than expected and better than they were before. I think there has to be an attention that he's not going to imprint the game whatever he wants. Now, everybody that's ever played Messi wants to do that. Now, teams have done it in different ways and with different skill sets. I do think there's got to be, I think at some point you're going to want as an opponent, like, I've had enough of this guy. I've had enough of the train. I've had enough of the excitement of everybody loving this. And people keep saying good for the league. This is the only league in our country, and there aren't many in the world where people look at it and say, hey, this is really good for the league, and care more about that than what's going on the field. Like in the NBA, when Jordan's coming up, Jordan rules existed to beat the hell out of him when the Pistons played against him because there was no other way to stop him. So I think there's an element of, there has to be, we do not care what else is going to happen. We have to find a way to shut him down. Maybe that's mark him 1-2 men and be as ultra physical as possible. You're not trying to injure Messi, but you're definitely not making it as easy. And I feel like he's always floating. And now he knows how to find the spaces. We know that his movement's outstanding, but he's always seems to be operating in space way more often than he needs to if you're trying to beat this team.
Yeah, we're keeping tabs. Luis Miguel, sorry, we're keeping tabs on questions at the bottom of the screen. So feel free, if you're watching this, to get in touch with that. Luis Miguel, I've got a question for you, which has come in, and all four of us have been talking about the influence that Messi has had. You'll be in Nashville on Saturday. One of the questions is, can there be an influence that Messi has on the referees? It's like, I'm Lionel Messi, I can do what I want. Can that happen? Could referees be in awe, or do we need strong referees to ensure that everything is fine?
No, of course you need good referees. And listen, like, I'm not here to spend this segment, clamping down on officiating, because we have seen in MLS a few questionable decisions. But of course that's going to happen. As Dalen said, like, before kickoff yesterday, like, the rest were like high-fiving Messi and all that stuff. So it can happen. It can happen with the best of the best, right? I do want to say one thing, though. I have been following Lionel Messi live since he arrived to Miami, from Cruz Azul to Philadelphia Union yesterday, against Orlando City, Dallas, Atlanta, Charlotte. And in terms of the physicality thing, I'm going to make this very clear so everybody just knows, because when you watch him live, it's a little different than when you watch him on TV. This man is, obviously, aside from his talents, is so brilliant at knowing when he needs to speed up, when he needs to slow down, where he needs to be. Everybody's playing checkers. This man is playing three-dimensional chess. He knows exactly what to do, when to do it. The first 30 minutes of the Philadelphia Union game, they were trying to do what Dalen said. They were trying to be physical. They were trying to hurt him. And Messi doesn't care. He makes you come to his little cave and you come out of it half dead, because he knows exactly what you're trying to do to him. He has seen it his entire career. He has seen it when he was an 8-year-old kid growing up in Rosario, because he was smaller than everybody else. This is instinctively within him to just understand that physically they're going to try and outnumber him. He's just faster, better mentally and physically. Now, the thing that Nashville can do, because what I saw yesterday was interesting, is that what do you do in terms of the decision that Messi wants to make? Because so far, aside from the goals, 9 and 6 is great, but he's so good at creating spaces for other people. So you now need to understand that, all right, who is Messi trying to get the options to? If Nashville can minimize that, right, the likes of Joseph Martinez, Robert Taylor, etc., then maybe they have a chance. But if you're trying to outnumber Messi from a physical standpoint, if you're trying to get in his face, he's going to win every single time. I promise you that.
Can I just add to that? I don't think that being physical up against Messi works. I think he's used to it. I don't think there's been a better player at playing up against physicality than Lionel Messi. But if I'm Nashville and I'm trying to figure out how I cope with this version of Inter Miami and Lionel Messi's influence on it, I learned my lesson in the way that Philadelphia kind of drew up a plan, and that plan seemed to go flying out of the window. Now, Philadelphia have played 3 at the back for the last 2 or 3 games. So that formation that we saw last night was not really that new to them. What I felt was new was how in disarray defensively Philadelphia were. If you look at the first goal, Lionel Messi gets on the ball, and I think it's Damian Lowe who steps to Messi, and he just picks a ball over the top to Joseph Martinez, over the top of Elliott. Fantastic ball. But you have 3 centre-backs, one gets sucked in, the other 2 are way too far apart, and Joseph Martinez, who we've known is a fantastic goal scorer, at least from his time in Atlanta, maybe he hasn't shown that up until now in Miami, but finds himself 1-on-1 in behind, shows strength, shows good finishing. And then the second goal where, again, we're kind of pointing at Andre Blake, but look at Philadelphia defensively. Joseph Martinez gets on the ball. Damian Lowe again goes in to press higher up. He fouls and probably could have got booked as a result. But the ball pops loose to Lionel Messi. And now the 2 centre-backs, Glessons and Elliott, are dropping off. They are wide apart. They're not sure what to do. And Lionel Messi finds the finish. If my point is, if you have a plan, whether it's we're playing high up and we're letting them have the space in behind and we'll cope with that, or we're dropping off and we're having defensive midfielders pick up that space in front, stick to that plan. What you cannot have is one player doing one thing, another doing another, and the third, in Philadelphia's case, kind of in the middle trying to figure out where he is. That's not going to work. Not against Inter Miami.
Okay, thanks to Luis Miguel Echegaray. I wouldn't be going in Messi's cave if you say half of them come out dead. So just be careful when you're in Nashville and what you do. Luis Miguel, safe travels, and we'll hear from you when you get to Tennessee. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.